Hi, this is Gary Cato with Project SOS, and I'm very proud to sponsor this episode of Salute. We hope you enjoy it.
Hello and welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I'm your host Bob Peters, and I'm once again here at my home at the Eagles, Area 4273 in beautiful Oklahoma. And I have a young Marine with me, and his name is Sebastian
Lajeunesse.
Lajeunesse. Did I say that right?
Lajeunesse, close enough. I'm sorry.
Anyway, we never get people named Smith or Jones.
Right, yeah.
But I met you about a year ago, I think it was, or maybe a little less than that. And you created this situation up in Umatilla.
Yes, sir.
Called the Veterans Farm, and that's the
Yes,
strip
sir.
there, right?
St. John's Hops, yes, sir.
John Hops. And I'm very impressed, and we're going to talk a little bit about the farm. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
And you originally from Canada, you told me.
Yes, sir. I was born in Montreal. My family's been in Quebec since the early 1600s. They were actually one of the first original hunter, trapper, explorers in Quebec. And then in the early 90s, my dad decided to move us down here to Florida to escape the cold, and with a dollar dream started his own company.
And what company was that?
First he started with Instafreeze back in the 90s. That was portable refrigerators for the RV industry, and then he sold it in the early 2000s, and then kind of worked his way around as a sales rep here and there. And then around the late 2000s was when he started Agro Research International, which is his company now. That's the company that I started working for when I got out of the Marine Corps. What they do is they make all organic, all natural insecticides, pesticides, and fertilizers for the ag industry.
And we just did a nice commercial for him.
Pretty much, yeah. So you're welcome, Dad.
Where'd you go to school? You go to Leesburg?
I grew up in Sanford, Lake Mary first. Elementary, middle school, I went to Catholic school over at Annunciation Catholic Academy, and then high school, I went to Lyman High School for the engineering program, which didn't really help me out much because I ended up enlisting in the Marine Corps anyways instead of going to college to be an engineer.
So you after high school, did you go to college?
I did college for about a year, and this 2007, 2008 was when I was, God, now I feel old, because I was back when Seminole State was still called Seminole Community College back then. And I did a year of school there, and I was failing my second semester math class miserably. And I just thought to myself, what am I doing here while there's a war going on? So in the middle of my math class, I walked out, went straight to the Marine Corps recruiter's office and said, just sign me up infantry. And now here I am.
So, yeah. So you volunteered for the Marine Corps, and of course you went to Paris Island, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then walk me through your career with the Marine Corps.
Right. Yeah. And so one big reason why I wanted to leave college and enlist in the Marine Corps, just because I fell in love with this country. This country has been so great to my family. They gave us the opportunities that we couldn't have either up in Quebec or in Colombia, because my mom's also Colombian as well too. So my dad's French Canadian, my mom's Colombian, and I fell in love with this country, and I felt like the best way to give back and say thank you to this country was by serving. And I remember when I was about 7, 8 years old, while I was driving the car with my dad, and we talked about what I want to be when I grew up, and the only thing I knew was an army man. That's all I knew. So I said, I want to be an army man when I grow up. And then my dad thought and said, if I'd be anything, I'd be a Marine. And I said, what's a Marine? And that's when he told me that they are the best of the best, the first to fight, the best trained, the toughest guys. And then from then on, I was hooked. Marine Corps it is. And my favorite subject in class was always history too. And I would read all these stories of Marines and soldiers during the World Wars, and and stuff and everything, and I wanted to take part in history as well too. And when I was in middle school was when 9/11 happened, and I knew that one day I would be part of that fight, and I wanted to fight for this country as a way of saying thank you. So when it came time to enlisting, it was just a no-brainer for me. I wanted to go Marine Corps Infantry.
Yeah, you want to become an American citizen too, right? You become an American citizen.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir.
We're glad we got it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's funny because during my interview, I guess, to get my citizenship, they asked me if I wanted to keep either Canadian or Colombian, and then I said no thanks. They're like, are you sure? Because you're allowed to have a second one. And I said, why do you think I'm here? Like, I don't plan on going to Colombia or to Quebec to live again. No, like, I plan on living and dying here in Florida. So
Okay, so you went into the Marines, and you were like what, 17, 18?
19 years old, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay, you go into the Marine, you go to basic.
Yes, sir.
Paris Island.
Yes, sir. And it's funny because with my last name, I had every drill instructor ask me, "Are you related? You know, to Lejeune, to General Lejeune?" And I would say, "No, sir. He was Cajun. I'm French Canadian."
Okay. So you after your initial and basic, where did you go? You were stateside here for a while?
I went to School of Infantry in Camp Lejeune, and then out of all places, I got stationed in Hawaii. I remember standing there during the last week of School of Infantry, and then the company first sergeant walked up to each individual one of us and gave us our orders and told us where we would be stationed at. And then I was told 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, Bravo Company, Hawaii. And I remember just looking around and saying, Hawaii? We have a base in Hawaii? And then the first sergeant just started cracking up, said, yes, son, we have a base in Hawaii. And I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was really cool. It was definitely a fun adventure over there.
Yeah, I bet. How long were you there?
My time there was 4 years, but half the time I was in Afghanistan anyway, so I didn't get to.
So you were in Hawaii, but you go in TDY over there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And how many years did you do in the military?
7 years.
7 years.
Yes, sir. And
you went twice?
Yes, sir. My first 4 years of my enlistment was when I went to Afghanistan twice, both in Helmand Province. The first deployment was for the Marja invasion. I don't know if you heard of that.
I've heard of it, but you talked to our
Yeah, so the Marja invasion happened in the winter of 2010. What I remember date-wise it was the day after the Saints beat the Colts, I think, was in the Super Bowl. And the reason why I know that was because the night before we left for the invasion, our commanders actually somehow were able to get Wi-Fi and then get the game for us the night before we left. So that was pretty cool. I'm a diehard Buccaneers fan myself, so I was rooting against the Saints. So I was pretty upset to see that the Saints won. But hey, but good for them though, right? So Marja was the last Taliban stronghold city in South Afghanistan, and my company was used as essentially live bait. We would march in echelon formation so that we were sort of like a spear, and hike for a good, like, I don't know, 20-something miles to Marja out west for us. And our goal was to take a village just east of the city of Marja itself, what we called the 5 Points. You've ever seen the movie Gangs of New York?
No, sir.
No? Okay, well, yeah, so there's a scene where the main mob boss talks about the 5 streets in New York where they come together. It's called the 5 Points, and whoever controls the 5 Points controls New York. Right. And that was essentially the strategy for us too. Whoever controls this village where 5 main highways and roads converge, but that controls Marja in South Afghanistan, and my company was used as live bait to draw out Taliban from the 5 points, so that way our sister company could fly in overnight in helos for them to land safely at night. And my squad was the tip of that spear, and I was the point man for it. So I was like, with the metal detector that I wasn't even trained to use for anything like that. They gave me a quick 5-minute run on how to turn it on and then how to figure out the noises and everything. And I ended up getting on the first day on the hike to Marja. I ended up getting ambushed by myself on top of a berm while my squad was taking shelter behind a compound, because there were 2 buildings and then a berm, and then there was an open field for 100, 200 yards out, and then a tree line. And they had me get on top of the berm and sweep for IEDs, because it could have been a perfect trap. And then that's when I got ambushed by a squad of Taliban on the other side, and I had to low crawl on the berm while still somehow sweeping with the metal detector with the bullets snapping around me, and so that was a lot of fun.
But you didn't get hit at all?
No, thank God for that. I honestly think that God was protecting me that day for sure.
Yeah, a lot of guys say that,
Yeah.
They're about by go to the grace of God, go I.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that, and also my best friend in my squad, he actually broke command and actually ran up on the berm to give me covering fire. And the reason why the squad leader actually ordered everyone to stay back was because it could have been a trap, like trying to get the whole squad onto the berm and blow it up. And so they had to wait until I finished sweeping the berm first, but the bullets were getting closer and closer. And so what my best friend did, he broke command. He ran up and gave me covering fire, so that way I could go ahead and finish the job. And so because of that, my second daughter, her middle name's actually named after him, which is Scott. So
So you did like 8 months, and then you came back to the States?
Yes, sir. So we would go through 8 months of grueling Afghan deployment, only to come back and then just break our bodies even more by just being out in the field for months at a time, just doing combat training for months at a time, and go back for another 8 months. But it wasn't all bad. I had fun. They had me, because I speak French and Spanish from my parents, they had me pick up Pashto. I started to pick up Pashto on my own, and they sort of used me during the second deployment as an unofficial interpreter. So that was actually pretty cool, because I got to learn more about the culture, and then we actually became friends with the local village elder that was our ally. His name was Shah Wali, and he was the only local Afghani that had a license from our battalion commander for him to go out on his own to go hunt Taliban for us. And so that was actually pretty cool, because our outpost was built on his land to protect his family and village and everything. So I got to see a different side of war and of Afghanistan, more the humanitarian side.
Yeah, the culture and everything.
Yeah.
When I was overseas, I tried to do that too.
Yeah.
But they all have different kind of habits. And,
right. Yeah.
So, so two tours. So anything you want to tell me about one of those tours? Because we're going to take a break after a little while here, because we're going to film the second part.
Yes, sir.
Over there.
At the point.
And I want you to talk about that, but I don't want to shortchange you in your career with the service. So you did 7 years, 2 deployments.
Yes, sir.
And then you said, I had enough.
Yes, sir. After my 4 years, my 2 deployments, I re-enlisted just because at the end of the first deployment, I married my high school sweetheart, and we are still married to this day. The only reason why I'm not wearing a ring right now is because at work I got eaten alive by ants, and I got all these bumps on on my ring finger, of course. But yeah, so we are still married with kids and everything like that. And I didn't want to get out of the Marine Corps just yet because I thought to myself, okay, I got a family now, so let me just re-enlist for another 4 years and figure everything out. And that's where I got sent to the rifle range over at Edson Range in San Diego. And so that was a lot of fun, especially because my wife's hometown, where her relatives are still at, are up in Santa Clarita, so just a 2-hour drive, and on the weekends, and we would spend time with her family and everything. And I worked at the range there, where I would train recruits going through boot camp how to fire and qualify with the M16. And I worked my way up as a primary marksmanship instructor, so I got to wear the cool Smokey Bear hat and everything like that too. And so it was fun. But while I was there was when I kept having to go through physical therapy for my back pains, because during my first deployment I took a nasty fall and fell like 15 feet and landed on my back, but I sucked it up for a good 5-6 years. Finally, doctors did x-rays, MRIs. They said I got arthritis up and down my spine, fasciosclerosis, protruding discs and stuff, and they told me that I should have gone out when I first got hurt. I said, well, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to leave my brothers behind or anything like that, or to disappoint my squad. So I sucked up with the pain for another 5-6 years, and finally, while I was at the range, I started getting help with my back pain, and finally the doctor said, no, it's time for you to get out, and that's when I got medical retirement.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about the farm now.
Yes, sir.
Because this farm, you started it, right?
Yes, sir.
It's, what does it say?
It's called St. John's Hops, and it's named after the St. John's River, since I grew up in Sanford, Florida, where the St. John's River flows right through it.
And this is a not-for-profit farm, am I understanding?
The farm itself is for profit, but we have a non-profit called Wars to Farmers that coincides with the farm.
Now let's talk about it.
Okay, so St. John's Hops is a farm that is dedicated to hiring combat veterans with PTSD to work the farm to use horticulture therapy to cope with their trauma. And as you could guess, we grow hops for the microbrew industry. So with y'all being from Lake County, I'm sure y'all heard of Crooked Can Brewing. They are one of our biggest clients. They're out in Winter Garden, Florida. They have a beer made with our hops called the Dirty Grunt. Bully Brewing in Leesburg also has a beer called Full Metal Blondie that's made with our hops. Wops Hops in Sanford, who's also a veteran-owned microbrewery. They have one called Umatilla the Hun that's made with our hops. Yeah, and then our first client and also biggest client, American Icon Brewery down in Vero Beach. They have one called the American Hero, and they donate 10% of the profits that they make from that batch back to Wars to Farmers. And so what Wars to Farmers is all the donations that we get from the 501c3, that's to hire more combat vets with PTSD for them to work the farm for good paid part-time work only. And the reason why they are only working part-time is because they will be required to go to school, use their GI Bill to study for a future career, which I'm sure most of your viewers know, but in case some that don't know, you get a monthly paycheck essentially from the GI Bill for every month that you're in school to help pay rent or mortgage and whatnot. Yeah, so then they will be getting a dual income from the farm and from the GI Bill, and also while in the program they will get free mental health counseling from my sister that's a licensed therapist.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. How many work at farm?
I have one right now who's also part of the Wars to Farmers program, but he's actually doing his vocation to learn to become a brewmaster himself. He's actually being trained by our brewery clients to become a brewmaster, because we are in the process of starting a brewery ourselves at the farm, and then he'll be making commission from the brew sales. I started off with 3 veterans at the farm, but unfortunately with COVID and everything with the economy, I had to let go of a couple, so I kept the one that I have now because he's the one with wife and kids and everything, whereas I'm the older veteran, is actually an old Vietnam veteran who gets pension and also retirement because he had worked.
Careful when you say old.
Oh, more mature.
Yeah.
Hey, more
that's why
mature.
I
I'm
like
sorry.
it. We're more
I'm
mature.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's funny because we actually called him Pops at the farm, and then so he actually still comes out to visit and everything.
Spinning downwards now, brother.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Listen, we're going to go up to the farm,
Yep.
the crew and I here. We're going to go up to the farm, and you're going to show us what you do and what you do. How big is this farm?
15 acres.
15 acres. Wear your shoes, crew.
Yeah.
You know, get your hiking boots.
Yeah.
And the question I have, do you live on the farm?
No.
Anybody live on the farm?
I wish. I wish I lived on the farm, but our long-term goals forwards to farmers. My sister has I don't know exactly what kind of license it is, but she has a license with the hospital that she works with for her being a psychiatrist, because she worked a lot with homeless veterans in the past. She's able to set up homeless shelters. And then, so our long-term goal is to actually buy a couple mobile homes in the future on property, so that way we can hire homeless veterans to work in the farm.
Like I said, we're going to take because we're running out of time here, because there's some events going to be coming on in here.
Yep.
Going to close this chapter on your thing, but okay, we're down on the farm right now. As you can see, I changed my wardrobe so I feel right in on the farm. I got my hat, I got my glasses. And with Sebastian, once again, who is you run this place, right?
Yes, sir.
You and, of course, your wife.
Yeah.
Is the boss.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's a not-for-profit. How many acres you got here?
15.
15.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to give me a little breakdown as to what you grow here. I said, I know you mentioned over that field you were growing something over there. What do you grow and what do you do with it?
Yes, sir. So that's our strawberry patch. It's overgrown now because around September is when we plant the strawberry plugs. We get them from Plant City, which they get the plugs from Quebec. It's actually cool because their strawberry season is late winter, early spring, and then come summertime it gets too hot up there for their strawberries. But what happens is during their season, the wind picks up all the seeds from the strawberries, and then they get dumped into the field next door, and then they collect the sprouts that come up, and then they put them in trays, and then they send them down here to Florida around summertime when their season ends. And then late summer, September is when Florida strawberry growers go and buy these strawberry sprouts from Quebec, and then we plant them here. And then around March is when it starts to die out, and then that's when we just kind of just let nature take its course, replenish the soil and everything, while we focus on hop season, because March is actually when hop season kicks in, so it's perfect timing. And so March is when the hops go out of dormancy. Here's the hops patch right now. As you can see, we have different names on them: Cascade, Chinook, Comet, Crystal, Cashmere, Columbus. And so those are all different strands. There's actually, believe it or not, thousands of different strands of hops, each one with a unique flavor, aroma that the brewmasters use for their beers. And the ones that we grow here are the ones that are most popular, at least within the Florida brewers.
Oh, that's what you grow the hops for the Florida breweries, right?
Yes, sir.
And you also told me over there you had potatoes you grew.
Yes, sir.
And you gave them to the homeless?
Yes, sir. I wanted to practice growing some potatoes, and planting season's around January. And so I reserved a small little section within the strawberry patch just to grow a few potato plants, and it worked out great. This week actually was a harvest for them, so I just gathered a bunch of, they were Kennebec potatoes, and then we went down the street to First Baptist Church here in downtown Umatilla, and then donated the potatoes for the food harvest. That's something that we like to try to do, is to grow other vegetables and crops on the side, just for the veterans to enjoy at home, but to also donate to the local homeless.
That's great.
Thank you.
Now tell me about the hops. How do you do this? I mean, That's a string.
Yes, sir.
They grow up the string, or
Yes, sir. So
Explain it to us all.
so they grow as vines, and what's interesting is that the hops were discovered. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should be facing y'all as well too. I'm so sorry about that. So the German monks back during like the 1400s, they noticed a weed vine growing in their church backyard garden, and then they found the green flower, smelled it, and said, "Hey, this smells great. Let's throw it in the beer next time when we make a batch." And then that's when the German monks decided to tame them and then cultivate them, and then they grow best in a V-shaped pattern going sky high. So we use coconut and hemp rope for the trellis system. So those are the ropes that make a V formation. And
how long will they grow there, and when do you harvest them?
actually, harvest season is actually within a couple weeks. Late July, early August is the first harvest. And unlike up north where hops are traditionally grown, here in Florida we get 2 harvests. So late July, early August, we will cut the vines from the top and bottom, and then we will harvest the cones. And then what happens is the base of the hops plant sprouts new vines, and then we train them and wrap around the ropes, and then within another couple months.
Oh, so you don't have to replant them all.
Correct.
Just keep growing. That's cool.
Correct.
I've never seen these kind of things grow.
Yeah.
We got a visitor here.
Oh yeah. This is Odin. He's my service dog, and I guess you could say my assistant here at work. So yeah, and then so the hops are perennials, so then they'll keep on growing. Around October, November is when they go dormant, and so we just cut all the remaining vines, and then we just leave the base there. They look dead because it's dry and everything, but then come March, you start to see green vines shooting up again, and it's just a cool thing to see. All right, cool, it's springtime now, here comes the green vines, it's hop season again. So yeah.
So we got potatoes, we got strawberries, we got hops. Weren't you gonna do something with flowers at one time too?
We got plumarias. So y'all know the Hawaiian lace necklace flowers. That's what they make. The flowers smell like herbal essence or some sort of perfume shampoo, and so that's something that we are practicing on too, and started selling to local home gardeners. And also we are practicing on elderberries as well too. We have a few elderberry twigs that we planted, and then they are starting to sprout out now too. That's sort of a long-term project because it's going to take 2 to 3 years for them to mature enough to produce the elderberries. But what we would like to do is do a U-pick elderberry patch, because we know that a lot of people like to use them for teas, and and then use for vitamins, antioxidants. But apparently they are hard to find.
They won't be, they'll be right here.
Yeah, hopefully.
What's the name of this farm again? What do you call it?
Valhalla.
Valhalla.
Yes, sir, Valhalla.
And you're a not-for-profit,
Yes, sir.
and it basically, it's to help veterans with PTSD.
Yes, sir.
And so if anybody wants to know more about it or make a contribution, you have a web page, a phone number. What do you got?
Yes, sir. We have social media, so just go on Facebook, Instagram, St. John's Hops, as in the St. John's River. We also have the website www.stjohnshops. Saint is going to be spelled all out, SAINT. Yeah, because the ST was already taken for another company website. So yeah, so the website is actually spelled out Saint.
And you have a lot of plans for the future. I noticed the building over there. You're
Yes,
going to do
sir.
something there, right?
Yes, sir. So that is where we dry and process the hops right now, but also we are in the process of converting it into a microbrew as well too. We have recently purchased a brew system, and my veteran that works here, he actually started training with a couple of our brewer clients where they are training him to become a brewmaster himself. So that way he'll work the brewery here, and then we'll use just our hops to help showcase him, but also we will carry on tap beer made from our brewery clients with our hops as well too. So that way it still showcases our hops, but also promote our brewery partners as well. And also my veteran will also be making commission off of the brew sale. So then on top of his base farm pay, he'll be making commission as well from the brewery.
I'm going to help out.
Okay.
Anytime you need somebody to sample,
Yeah, right, for sample.
just give me a call and I'll be here.
Will do. And actually, speaking of sampling too, September 18th, we're having our second annual Hops Fest here, where we have all of our brewery clients from all over the
Do
state.
this every year around September.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've been here before. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great time. Live music, food's going to be catered by our friends over at Combat Cafe, which is a veteran-owned restaurant, so they would cater food for the event, and we'll have live music, and then y'all can tour up and down the hops rows while enjoying some free samples from our brewery clients. Do y'all like IPAs though?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a social disease or something?
I mean, I guess it could be. It's an India. It's IPA. It's an India Pale Ale, and it's a very popular beer. And so they use a lot of these specific hops called Comet. It's very strong aroma of citrus, especially grapefruit and flowers. And so whenever you have an IPA and then you smell that strong, like grapefruit type flavor, that's the Comet that you're tasting. And you'll see here we got some cones here in these vines, and then you'll see the yellow powder here. That's called the Lupulin. So you see the powder right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's called the Lupulin. And then if you smell it,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it smells like fruit, right? It smells like orange juice or grapefruit or something like that. So
Kinda
that's
citrus
common.
smell, yeah.
Yes, sir. And so this is what's used in a lot of IPAs, especially with my biggest brewery client, American Icon Brewery down in Vero Beach. They have a beer called the American Hero, and the name of that because the hops are grown by combat veterans. They use a lot of my hops as well for their American Hero, and so now we actually have plans with them. They are getting ready to mass produce the American Hero, canning and kegging, and then distribute it all over the state. Hence why we have all that cleared over there too. This farm was an abandoned orange grove for about 5 years when my family bought it, took it over. So all this was just dead orange trees everywhere, and then we cleared it out and then developed it. Well, American Icon asked us to clear out and develop and reserve 3 acres just for their production of the American Hero alone. And it's an amazing beer. So if y'all come out here on September 18th, I guarantee that they will be there with the American Hero for y'all to try out, as well as other local ones like Crooked Can Brewing. They have one called the Dirty Grunt, which is the beer made with our hops. And then Wops Hops Brewery in Sanford, they have one called Umatilla the Hun, because the hops are grown here in Umatilla. And then we have Boley Brewing as well too in Leesburg. They are coming out here. They have a blonde ale called Full Metal Blondie that's made with our hops here.
You wanted to tell me a little bit about this tractor. What's
Yes, sir.
this tractor?
So this tractor is special to us because we are good friends with the people of Cobb's Tractor in Eustis. It's a veteran-owned company where they too also hire a lot of veterans as well to work there too, and they loved the mission that we're doing here so much that they donated this tractor for us to help us out with the farm. So I just want to give a special thank you to Jerry and Nan of Cobb's Tractor, Mark, my friend who works there. Thank you guys for all of the help and love that y'all have given us. Thank you so much.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Well, Sebastian, I want to thank you for the tour.
Thank you so much,
I wish
sir.
you the best of luck here.
Thank you.
And I think what you're doing is fantastic, especially raising food to help the homeless and all that. And I guess our chicken isn't going to crow for me.
Yeah.
But it's time to say goodbye.
Cool.
So this is how we do it. You've watched the show,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Of course I have, yeah.
So, to all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.
Since 2009, Project SOS has assisted our veterans both overseas and here at home to overcome medical issues, homelessness, and disabilities. Initially, our efforts resulted in over 22 clinics opened in Iraq and Afghanistan. Recently, as troops have been withdrawn, we have concentrated on issues here at home. During this past year, we have been able to distribute 42 motorized wheelchairs and numerous mobility devices to our local veterans who have served in World War II and up to and including Afghanistan. We continue to offer solutions to our local homeless veterans in the Ocala National Forest and other Central Florida locations. Project SOS Support Our Soldiers needs your assistance to continue helping a growing homeless veterans population. Over-the-counter medications and personal hygiene supplies are acutely needed. Your financial aid will greatly increase the support they so desperately need.